Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's service of Multifaith Readings and Reflection. My name is Babli, and I'm one of the spiritual care chaplains here at Mackenzie Health. I will be leading you in today's service. Throughout the service, you'll see prayers, scriptures, which represent some of our multi-faith community. We encourage everyone to participate in all aspects of the service and to enjoy and celebrate those aspects that you have found most supportive and helpful to you today. We hope that everyone will learn something new today, and in that spirit, keep an open mind throughout. Today's theme of our service is fear. So we'll start with an opening reflection. Fear has pushed me when you wanted me to be led by your loving hand. Fear has tormented me when you wanted me to enjoy your soothing peace. Fear has stolen from me when you want me to possess more than enough. I will stand against fear, and I will conquer fear in the name of all that is good and true. Our next reading comes to us from the Jewish tradition, and this is from Psalm 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is my strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked came against me to eat up my flesh, my enemies and foes, they stumbled and fell. Though an army may encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war may rise against me, in this I will be confident. One thing I have desired of the Lord that I will seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret place of his tabernacle he shall hide me. He shall set me high upon a rock. And now my head shall be lifted up above my enemies and all around me. Therefore I will offer sacrifices of joy in his tabernacle. I will sing, yes, I will sing praises to the Lord. And our next reading comes to us from the Christian tradition. This comes to us from 1 John. And we have known and believed the love that God has for us. God is love, and he who abides in love abides in God, and God in him. Love has been perfected among us in this, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear involves torment. But he who fears has not been made perfect in love. We love him because he first loved us. Our next reading comes to us from the Islamic tradition, and this is from one of the poems of Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali. Know that action on account of hope is of higher order than action on account of fear, because the creatures who are nearest to God are those who love him most, and love dominates hope. This is expressed by two kings, one of whom is served through fear of his punishment, and the other through hope of his reward. For this reason, what is desecrated, especially at the time of death, has to do with hope and optimism. Allah said, "Do not despair of the mercy of Allah." Thus he prescribed the root of despair. And it is recorded in the traditions about Jacob that Allah revealed to him saying, "Do you know why I parted Joseph from you? It was because you said, 'I am afraid that the wolf will eat him,' while you are neglectful of him. Why did you fear the wolf and not hope in me? And why did you have regard to the negligence of his brothers, and did not have regard to my preserving him?" Next reading comes to us from the Baha'i tradition, and this comes from Abdel Baha, from his book, A Traveler's Narrative. Today, let every soul desire to attain the highest station. They must not regard what is in them, but what is in God. It is not for them to regard what shall advantage them, but what whereby the word of God, which which must be obeyed, shall be upraised. The heart must be sanctified from every form of selfishness and lust. For the weapons of the Unitarians and the saints were and are the fear of God. That is the buckler which guards humans from the arrows of hatred and abomination. Unceasingly has the standard of pity been victorious and accounted amongst the most hosts of the world. Thereby do the saints subdue the cities of humans' hearts by the permissions of God, the Lord of hosts. Darkness has encamped the earth. The lamp which gives light was and is wisdom. The dictates thereof must be observed under all circumstances, and of wisdom is the regard of place in the utterance of this course according to measure and state. And of wisdom is decision, for humans shall not accept whatsoever anyone has to say. And next, we have a reading from the Buddhist traditions, and this comes from the Reflections of the Buddha. Live in joy and love, even among those who hate. Live in joy and in health, even amongst those who are afflicted. Live in joy and in peace, even amongst the troubled. Look within. Be still. Free from fear and attachment. Know the sweet joy of living in the way. There is no fire like greed, no crime like hatred, no sorrow like separation, no sickness like hunger of heart, and no joy like the joy of freedom. Health, content, and trust are your greatest possessions, and freedom your greatest joy. Look within, be still, free from fear and attachment. Know the sweet joy of living in the way. Our next reading comes to us from the Hindu tradition, and this comes to us from a classical Sanskrit writer, and it's a poem. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the varieties and the realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of achievement, are but experiences of time. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. And today, well lived, makes yesterday a dream of happiness, and even tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. Such is the salutation to the ever-new dawn. And now we will have a reflection on the theme of fear. So good morning again, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's service. My name is Bavli. I'm one of the spiritual care chaplains, and today's theme is on fear. So some of you might be familiar with this first quote that I'm about to recite here in our reflection. It says that fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hatred, and hatred leads to suffering. Master Yoda was talking to young Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker was filled with hatred. He may have to fight Darth Vader, which was actually his father. How could this happen? A son may potentially have to kill his father? We all have fears. I know I do. One of the fears I'm trying to overcome is dogs. I'm afraid of dogs. Growing up, they always used to chase me, and I had one negative experience with a German Shepherd. Dogs used to chase me when I was riding my bicycle or my scooter. So that fear was something that stuck with me, and it has taken me a while to overcome it because no one has really helped me while I was growing up to overcome that fear. They always kept dogs or animals away from me whenever I used to go visit anyone's home who had one. I was afraid of dogs, and there wasn't any kind of convincing that can be done to change my mind. I was afraid. We all have fears. Some fears can seem strange to us. Some have a fear of baldness and bald people. Others have a fear of the color purple. Some even have a fear of objects on the right side of the body. Fears can come in all shapes, forms, and sizes. Being in a hospital bed is a fear on its own. Some might ask, what will happen next? This is a question amongst many that are valid, and all these questions drive the fear of the unknown. The greatest fear anyone can have is the mystery of the unknown and what is to come. We cannot control what we are afraid of the most. So if some of you have met me, I might have told you that I love playing basketball. And so when I think of fear, I'm reminded of a quote by Michael Jordan where he once said, "I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost over 300 games. On 26 occasions, I have been entrusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." The greatest basketball player of all time, arguably maybe the greatest sportsman of all time, was a constant failure. He was cut from his high school team twice and barely made it on the third time when he tried out. We all have failed, and because of our failures, we become afraid of the unknown. Some have taken failure and used it as motivation, like Michael Jordan did. Others take fear and use it to inflict pain on others. In all conflicts between groups, whether religious, cultural, any other types of groups, there are always three elements that play out. One is the certitude that our group is morally superior, possibly even chosen by God, and all others should follow our example or be at our service. In order to bring peace to the world, we have to impose our set of beliefs upon others through manipulation, force, and fear, if necessary. This is constantly playing out every day in the world. Just turn on your TV sets and see what's happening in the world, whether in Russia and Ukraine, in Iran, or any other part of the world. It doesn't take much to see that this is something that we are constantly living, either as we watch it or live through it. The second point is a refusal or incapacity to see or admit any possible errors or faults in our group. The undeniable nature of our goodness makes us think that we are infallible. There can be no wrong in us. And the third point is a refusal to believe that any other group possesses truth or can contribute anything of value. At best, others may be regarded as ignorant, unenlightened, and possessing, at best, half-truths. At worst, they are seen as destructive, dangerous, and possessed by evil spirits, and they need to be overpowered for the good of humanity. Society and cultures are then divided into the good and the bad. The good attributing to themselves the mission to save, to heal, and to bring peace to the wicked world, according to their own terms and under their controlling power. So, the question becomes, how do we overcome this way of thinking? Because all of these are tied to fear. The readings that we read today so far reflect on how to take fear and face it head on, and they speak of a common witness. The Jewish reading speaks about the beauty we find in companionship when it says, "That I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple." The Christian reading points to a unity found in love when it says, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear involves torment. But he who fears has not been made perfect in love. We love him because he first loved us." The Baha'i reading asks us to cleanse ourselves from selfishness when it says, "The heart must be sanctified from every form of selfishness and lust, for the weapons of the Unitarians and the saints were and are the fear of God." The Islamic reading teaches us that no matter the situation, hope will always be present in our life when it says, "Know that action on account of hope is of higher order than action on account of fear, because the creatures who are nearest to God are those who love him most, and love dominates hope." These readings point to a common witness and a common theme, which is beauty and goodness found in our common humanity, which gives us the strength and the ability to overcome our fears. It is in acknowledging our fears and shortcomings that we realize we have the power to change the world. I'm reminded of a very famous quote that you might be familiar with by Marianne Williamson, which is a quote on fear. She says that our deepest fear is that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically will liberate others. So, as we overcome our fears, we allow others to overcome their own fears. And acknowledging our fears gives us a way to shine. The Buddhist reading sums it up when it says, live in joy and love even amongst those who hate. Live in joy and in health even amongst the afflicted, and live in joy and in peace even amongst the troubled. A patient once told me that their greatest fear is not dying, but their greatest fear is that they have not lived a life that can be reflected through the memories of their loved ones. As I begin to overcome my fears of being around dogs, may you gain the strength and the courage to overcome your fears through all that is good and beautiful in your life. So now we will have a concluding reflection, and this comes to us from the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh. Fear keeps us focused on the past or worried about the future. If we can acknowledge our fear, we can realize that right now, we are okay. Right now, today, we are still alive and our bodies are working marvelously. Our eyes can still see the beautiful sky and our ears can still hear the voices of loved ones. Be the change you want to see in the world. We are what we think, and all that we are arises within our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make our world. May we continue to express our peace through our actions, and may all that is beautiful continue to enlighten us in all that we do. Our multi-faith service has ended. Go in peace. Thank you everyone for joining us today. If you'd like to contact the spiritual care chaplain, you can always talk with your nurse and they know how to contact us. Also, the spiritual care icon on your iPad has our contact information, so you can reach us directly through your iPad as well. I hope everyone has a great day, and we will see you next week on Tuesday. Thank you, everyone.